In this video, I want to talk about passing parameters to functions. So sometimes a function will require a little bit of extra information to do its job. These bits of information that you pass into the functions are called parameters, or when they're in the function declaration itself, you can refer to them as arguments. So going back to our example that we had in the last video about functions, we have the variables for the cost of the food, we've got the account balance for the person, we've got 3 functions for drinking pop, drinking beer, and eating burgers. We can call these functions repeatedly. So when we run this function, you can see the decreasing balance. So we're going to come back to this and we're going to reduce, we're going to eliminate the possibility of spending more money than you actually have, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. What I want to focus on right now is the idea that we could have a function for, let's say, going to the carnival, and we can pass in an array of all the functions that we want to use. So I'm going to eliminate all of these individual calls here, and we're going to create a function that's going to take an array of all the things that we want to eat or drink at the carnival. So let's create an array here. Let's call it meal list. So we have an array, and inside here I'm going to put a list of the functions that I want to call. So this function list is going to represent all the things we want to eat and drink. So we'll say drink beer, and then we're going to drink pop, and then we're going to eat a burger, and then we'll drink another beer after that. So here's our array. This is the list of all the functions. Now you'll notice I'm not putting the parentheses at the end here. I'm just passing the name of the function. I'm not telling the function to run. Very important that we leave off the parentheses at the end here. Now our function for the carnival, let's do that. Visit carnival. There we are. That's our declaration. And then inside the parentheses here, we want to put a variable. Now this variable is going to exist inside of this function. We can call it anything we want. I'm going to call mine mlist, short for meal list. This is the parameter that we're going to be passing in. So we're going to be calling our function, and then I'm going to be passing this variable, meal list, in here, like that. So this is going to make the function visit carnival run, and we're going to take our array and we're going to pass it. So the contents of this are going to be put into this variable, mlist. All right, so what do we want to do inside here? We want to call all of these functions, whether there's one thing in this array or there's 50 things in this array. We want this function to run this, then this, then this, then this. So we're going to take our parameter that's passed in here, and we're going to loop through it. We're going to use a for loop. So var I equals 0, that's my counter. And I'm also going to be using the length of mlist here. So let's say that num equals mlist dot length. Then my semicolon. So I'm declaring 2 variables here. I is 0, that's my counter, and num is the number of items that I've got inside of mlist, because that's the number of times I want to loop from 0 to up to, but not including the length of this. And as long as I is less than num, keep going. That's our test condition. Now inside this loop, I want to call this, then this, then this, then this. In my array, this is item 0, then item 1, then item 2, then item 3. So mlist sub I, that is drink beer, and then it's drink pop, and then it's eat burger, and then it's drink beer. Because this object, if I go into my array to that position, what I'm looking at is actually the name of a function. And how do we get functions to run? We put parentheses at the end of it. That is going to make this function run. So we have a list of things that are going to happen. Here's our function declaration. Here's where we're calling the function, and we're passing that array into here. We're going to loop through it. There's 4 things. So when we run our function, there we go. There's the 4 things. If we were to add something else onto here, let's add another eat burger and then a drink beer again. Now there's 6 things in this array. If we come over here and run this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times this is being called. Our function is being called. We're passing in a parameter. We're using this parameter and running the function. Now, just as an alternate syntax, there's another way that you can get a function to run. So mless sub I, that is the function name. That's the reference to the function. We can also do this, call. And this is going to call that function. Now there's a reason for this function. It allows you to pass in other parameters, but for now, we can just do it like that. I run it again. There we go. You can see it's the exact same result as before. So either one of these syntaxes will work. And that is parameters. Now I've only put one in here. It is possible to pass in multiple parameters. If I had another variable, say message, I could pass in another variable like this. Every time you add another variable here, you put another variable here, and each of these values will be assigned to the corresponding variable. And that's parameters and functions.